CGP.
Cleveland Gaming Podcast.
Video games, culture, anime, toys, pinball, tabletop.
CGP.
Cleveland
Gaming Podcast.
Here we go.
CGP. This is the Cleveland Gaming Podcast.
CGP.
Time to press start.
What's up, fellow nerds, gamers, and everyone in between in the greatest city in all the land? That's Cleveland. You're listening to the Cleveland Gaming Podcast. My name is Corey, program director and main stage host for the Cleveland Gaming Classic. Number 3 on the leaderboards because we got number 1 with us. You know him, you love him, and I'm willing to bet he's excited for today. His name is Tom Jenkins, the final boss. Sir, you ready to get into this fight? We're fighting hard today.
I'm ready to fight, but Corey, I'm going to be honest, I'm a little sore today.
Why are you sore, sir?
Dude. So, if I told you I moved a Mortal Kombat 3 cabinet, how would you feel?
I wouldn't be surprised. We do run a video game convention after all, but I would be empathetic because those things are not liked.
I may have made the decision to use my Sunday to move a Mortal Kombat 3 arcade machine, so 3 hours later, it's in our storage locker. So you're welcome. It'll be at the show. My back and just getting old. Thanks you.
Well, I look forward to the show and playing it. I look forward to this show as well, but before we dip into it, this show is brought to you by all of you listening with your ear holes, your heart, your love, your passion for the video game community. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you follow us on all the socials. That is the Cleveland Gaming Classic on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. And, of course, visit us on the website, gamecleveland.com. You can sign up for all of our great email blasts. It keeps you on top of things like our live events that we happen leading up to the show, including some exciting things around the Cleveland area in support of the organization we're about to talk about here, the Raiden Science Foundation. Can't wait to talk with this guy here, Tom. Tommy's a great dude that's doing some good work out there.
Tommy's going to be great. I say we bring him on. What do you think? Round 1, fight.
Tommy, I have to say, we just did a video game controller draft where we had 3 people on the show, and they were all talking about the best video game controllers of all time. Right behind you, you actually have the second overall pick, the PlayStation 5 controller. I gotta ask though, if you have a favorite video game controller of all time, if you had to make a choice of what that number 1 controller would be, you got the number 1 pick, what would you choose as the best video game controller of all time?
Do you need time while I stall for you here? This is where I
Yeah,
say that.
that's a good question. I mean, I do like the PlayStation 5 controller. But
It's nice.
It's very nice, especially when you have like some of the pro fighting ones. It feels really good. But at this moment, given the situation, now that I'm a dad and I have a daughter, it's hard to play video game. I would have to go with the Nintendo Switch.
I like that choice.
I mean, it's a controller, but it's also a console, right?
Like the Joy-Cons?
Yeah.
I'm with him. He picks it up. You can just play. You don't have to like worry about sitting down, turning on
I'm
a
not
TV.
judging. I'm not
go.
judging. You guys make it sound like I'm judging. I'm just asking for clarification. That's all.
Tom, how dare you judge?
I'm
It was
not
such a great choice.
judging. You guys are they're looking at me judgingly. I'm just asking for clarification. That's all.
Even though the Joy-Con, the button itself can fall off and pretty easily.
It's true. But I've had a good record with Nintendo. I had to go through one pair, and they did get replacements. So, it took a little bit of time, but I still appreciate it, and I like the choice. I like the flexibility of it. I mean, I don't know. I think they made an announcement this year that they're going to announce their next-gen console. I don't know what they're going to do next. They can't do the same thing they did with the Wii to the Wii U, so my imagination is racing.
I'm thinking it's Genesis 3-button controller still.
It's still going to be modular. I mean, that's their competitive advantage. They're not going to go away from that. So
Yeah, that's what works with them.
Yeah, great insight. And also, we got a great guest. The Cleveland Gaming Podcast, Tom, we get to welcome a very special guest to CGC here in 2024. He's the head of the Raiden Science Foundation, a group that we're going to be working with throughout this year leading up to the show. Tommy Pham, welcome to the show. It's great to have you on joining us.
Thanks for having me on this Sunday. Well, from where I am, it's a beautiful sunny Sunday in Beaverton, Oregon.
Oh, you're from Oregon?
From Oregon.
I was a cruise director in the Oregon area for a while. It is a wonderful state. Have you ever been to Ohio before?
I've never been to Ohio before, but I watch a lot of Ohio football, if that counts.
It's a good start. Tom, what's the list? What do we have to make sure that Tommy gets to engage in? Definitely pierogies, right?
Yeah, some pierogi. I feel like is on. Tommy, do you even know what a pierogi is? Question
Nope.
number one.
I'm not gonna lie.
See, and this is the thing. So when I moved out to California from Ohio, I had told a lot of people like, "Oh man, we'll have to get some pierogi," and everyone's like, "What the hell is a What did you just say?" They're like, "I'm like, you guys don't have pierogi? Like, we don't even know what those things are. We've never heard of them." Tommy, can you take a guess at what a pierogi is?
I don't know. Nope.
You're gonna offend a lot of Westerners here.
But I will give a sensibility of him not using the internet to look it up right away. That's some integrity, sir.
I don't know.
appreciate
It looks
that.
like he's typing. I can't tell.
I'm not. I mean,
Hands are in the air.
His hands are up. It's basically just a noodle potato with a usually potato on the inside that is cooked in lots of butter, but you can fill it with a lot of things. Cheese, like my wife every year, they go to a thing where they do jalapenos, they do cherries in them, they do onions in them, they do everything in them. But it is not good for you at all.
wait, so it's just a potato?
It's like a dumpling. It's like a dumpling thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say
it's
like
a
a
dumpling
wonton
that's made out of
not a wonton, but
exactly.
more like a dumpling, yeah.
Yeah, that's made out of potato, and then you stuff it with something unhealthy, and then you fry it, usually in a pan with lots of butter, and then you feel terrible afterwards. That's Cleveland. Welcome to Cleveland, Tommy. We're excited to have you. Tommy is laughing with, I can't tell if he's disgust or excitement. It's one of the two, Corey.
He will learn about the pierogi power. But as a guest on the show here, Tommy, we have to start off, because we all have something right now loaded into our system. What game are you playing right now? I know you've got a family. I know you've got a foundation, so you're probably ultra busy, but do you get a chance to squeak out an hour or two to play a video game here and there?
Yep, like right now, at this moment.
Oh, he's pulling it out. He's loading up the PS5. Is that what we're doing? Oh no, he's pulling out the disc.
He's getting a disc. What is it?
Stellar Blade.
Stellar Blade. That sounds like a pair of roller skates. Like rollerblades.
Nice action game on PlayStation. It came out maybe about a few weeks ago. It's kind of like I don't know, Final Fantasy visuals with like Devil May Cry action mechanic. It's pretty good. You got a good rating.
I mean, you've got me sold on Final Fantasy. I love the Final Fantasy franchise. And
The recent one, the 7 remake and rebirth.
I'm having a hard time crossing that barrier right now. I've definitely played 16. I enjoyed 16. I loved Clive. I haven't dipped into 7 remake yet because my friend, who's actually from Oregon as well, funny enough, she told me that if I had to play a next game, I had to touch Elden Ring. I haven't touched Elden Ring yet. So now I'm there and I'm like on hour 150, but it is on my to play list, the remake of 7.
Yeah, I beat 16 a while back. It's a really good game. Love the character design. Love the summons.
Agree, for sure. But let's dive into some questions that I think are apt for you. And I think what's really cool is that, you are amongst the greats, Tommy. Because what I am alluding to here is, like Robin Williams, you have named one of your children after an epic video game character. Robin Williams, of course, his daughter's named Zelda, based on The Legend of Zelda. And you have a wonderful son named Raiden. Can you tell me the story of how you came across the finish line and got to have every video game dad's dream, which is name their child after a video game character they mean a lot to? Like, I want to name my daughter Sophia, but we'll get to that later on. But tell me.
Well, first my daughter is named Jordan, spelled with the Y, Jordyn, named after Michael Jordan. We actually have our maternity photos in front of the Jordan building as well on Nike's campus. There's this thing of like naming after someone. I mean, I grew up loving MJ. When you talk about basketball, it's like Michael Jordan or like Kobe Bryant. So it made sense. Boy or girl, it's gonna be Jordan, and my wife agreed with that. She thought it was a good name. In terms of Raiden, how it came about, we knew we were having a boy. she really loved the name like Trevor, which is like really, really common. I'm like, that's just too common. What about like Leon from like Resident Evil?
Ah, yeah.
And I give her, a bunch of other names from like Final Fantasy series as well. Like I always wanted, if it was a boy, I always wanted like a video game character. And then we went to a bunch of names. She liked it like Jaden as well. And I'm like, wait a minute, what do we have like Raiden? She's like, let me think about it. I think it took a few days, but she just fell in love with the name Raiden. It was unique. It was different. I'm like, look, we're gonna spell it not Rayden. We're gonna spell it Raiden. She was like, I think that's a good name. Let's share that at the baby shower. So the baby shower came about. This was December of like 2019. Announced that we'll have a baby boy. This is named Raiden. And then one of my buddies was like, did you know that's a video game character name? No idea.
Don't say
Too late now. Too late now. So that's how it came about.
And then what was your wife's reaction afterward? What's your wife's name, Tommy?
I mean, my wife's name is Linda.
Linda. So what did she say? She's like, oh, okay, thanks for telling me. Love you too.
Yeah, thanks for telling me, but she still loved the name. It was just an awesome name, so the reaction was okay. I mean, she wasn't like upset or anything that she found out it was a video game character. We landed on that name together, right?
Scorpion was your backup. Got it. Check.
I think it was actually Noob Sabot.
Yes. I want to see your notepad. I remember my wife and we had a notepad of names. I can only imagine. Yeah, Noob Sabot, Scorpion, Smoke didn't make the list. I don't know.
Weird. That's so odd.
Yeah,
Why did
right.
Smoke not make the list? It sounds like the one of the tunnel snakes from Fallout 3.
Yeah, but no, Raiden's a good name. It could have been two other game franchise, right? Raiden, like the shooting aircraft.
Oh, right, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's the other Raiden from Metal Gear Solid.
That's a good point. I think you made the smartest play though of all of it, Tommy, which is let her come to the conclusion that she likes the name, and then it cements in, and she can figure out everything else ahead of time. Now, I'm not married, but Tom, that feels like a good strategy for a future partner of mine. Does that track well, guys?
Yeah. I mean, I think it does. Now, my boys, I did not name them after video game characters, but we have a Harrison and Hudson. Harrison was named after Indiana Jones. That's where that came from with Harrison Ford. And then Hudson was a combination of Hudson Soft, and then also from the Cars movie, Hudson Hornet. So I didn't get as far as video games, so you definitely one-up me there, Tommy.
It's close.
We do know we like our one-ups as well, being all video gamers. Let's go ahead and get to what I think is the meat of us bringing you on here, Tommy, and us having this wonderful partnership this year. You started this great organization known as the Raiden Science Foundation. And this year, the Cleveland Gaming Classic has the opportunity to help support this cause. And I think coming from you would be the best place for a little bit of enlightenment. Can you tell our listeners and show attendees the story and the purpose of RSF?
Yeah, absolutely. So Raiden, who's named after the God of Thunder from Mortal Kombat. So he was born like right before the pandemic. I think it's February 26th of 2020. So that was like a few weeks before the pandemic. I have my daughter who, it's 6 now, but I can't remember her age at the time. So we knew how like the normal childhood development should be. And so the first 3 months of Raiden's life, everything was normal, everything was fine. And then after that, it just all went downhill, right? Like by the time a child's about like 7, 8 months, you would expect them to at least be able to grab on things, right?
Mhm.
Hold onto like toys, do some tummy time, lift their head up, right? At the very least. But Raiden couldn't do any of that. And worse, he was like contorting his body in awkward different ways. He wouldn't like drink any of his milk. And we went to doctors after doctor. They would come up with a bunch of explanations, like maybe he's having like acid reflux or some kind of like food allergy, right? And so anyways, long story short, that led to us staying in a hospital when he was close to 1 for about 2 or 3 weeks there. We ran all the tests. We did all the scan, all the blood work. Everything came back normal. And so by the age of 1, in order to get us the medical service we need to support Raiden at 1, he could not, sit. He couldn't make any babbling sounds. He couldn't grab on anything. We knew something was wrong. So at the age of 1, he was unofficially diagnosed as quadriplegic cerebral palsy because he could not control any of his limbs and his body was like really tight. And so, as a parent, as a dad, the gut feeling was like, well, this doesn't sound right because a lot of time when a child has cerebral palsy, there's some sort of damage that they can identify, right? So we kept on pushing. We didn't want to accept CP as the final diagnosis. So we pushed for what is called whole exome sequencing, not to get into the science, which is to look at all 20,000 of Raiden's gene. That took about 6, 7 months after he turned 1. Finally got the result back from his geneticist after looking at 20,000 of his gene. His UBA5 gene, which you and I have, everyone has that gene, but Raiden's gene is defective, which is causing the symptom that he has. What's even worse is, hey, at least we know he has quadriplegic cerebral palsy symptom. That's okay, we can accept fate. But from what we know, there's only about, at the time, 30 kids with a similar gene mutation. It doesn't stop with CP type symptoms. It's progressive. The child's brain will deteriorate over time, resulting in early death, unfortunately. And so, our heart just broke. Like, as a parent, you bring a child, you want to give them the best life possible, but for a child's like, you brought a child in the world to suffer and to die early. Can you just imagine that? It just sucks. Like, we fell into like a bit of depression, but it took a month. We got back up. We were like, hey, we gotta fight this, even though the geneticist and the doctor at the time were like, there's nothing you can really do, right? Because it's newly.
Well, and you shared with me too, sorry to interrupt, Tommy, but you shared with me too that what I thought was really interesting, because I've been very active with United Cerebral Palsy here in Greater Cleveland for years, was interesting that Tommy mentioned, and again, if you're listening, like, what stood out to me when Tommy and I first started to get to know each other was that oftentimes too, the conversation kind of stops at the CP conversation, meaning the child may be diagnosed with cerebral palsy, like Tommy's saying, could be for whatever reason, very number of circumstances, and then that's it. And I'm getting goosebumps as I'm talking about it because a lot of parents, which you shared with me, get that diagnosis and then never know otherwise because they're just like, oh, okay, that tracks, and I guess that's what my doctor is telling me. And if you maybe share some of that, like how you had to, I say, push to the next level to do that genetic testing.
Yeah, I mean, it's a part of it. It's gut feeling as a parent, and I'm also fortunate enough where my background is in biology and chemistry as well. That's kind of like my undergrad degree, so I knew what to like push for. And Tom, like you mentioned, like a lot of parents unfortunately just take that as an answer, right?
Right.
They're unofficially diagnosed as CP. At least they have some diagnosis,
something, right?
Yeah, something that they can lean to. They understand. They can get the support and the care from the state, and sometimes that's good enough. And in fact, for the majority of the time, I mean, it is good enough, right? You get the help, you go on, you adapt your life. But for us, we wanted like a real answer in case we can help solve it, if not for Raiden, but for
exactly
future.
So the two of you then decide, and I think this is amazing, you decide to fight. And you decide to get up, and the doctor's just telling you there's nothing to do. Tell us about that fight. What's the journey that it takes to get to where RSF becomes this great organization for good?
The fight is, is internal battle of like, hey, just accepting fate. It is what it is. This is what's going to happen. We're going to live out our life, or we're going to get together as a family, make some sacrifice because we have to, and go on this journey to seek for a cure, for a treatment for this particular disease, and not giving up, knowing that, hey, you're going to have to sacrifice a lot of family time, of personal time, because it's not going to just magically happen, right? We have to go on this journey to do it. And so my wife and I aligned to that, and we're like, hey, this is what we got to do. It's going to be a bumpy journey. I mean, it's going to be a journey to hell, for lack of a better word, but we're going to do it. We're going to stay strong as a family, and we're going to get through this. And so with that, we started the Raiden Science Foundation, build a plan, reach out to a lot of researchers in the field of like gene therapy, because we know, hey, if Raiden has this mutated gene, in theory, we give him a new copy of the gene, we should be able to fix him, right? It sounds easy, but it's not. But we live in a world where there's medical innovation and advancement where that is possible. But unfortunately, it's not possible when a disease is so rare, when there's only 30 or 40 cases in the world, right?
Mm.
But we decided that we're gonna go ahead and do it anyways. And so we reached out to a lot of different medical institutions, ended up working with UMass Medical School, and they're like, Tom and Linda, if you are ready to go on this journey, let's do it together. We believe that we can create a gene therapy to treat this UBA5 mutation disorder. It is going to take a few years, but it's possible. But you have to fundraise yourself, right? Because no one's going to invest in something so rare. But if we're able to get to the point where we develop this treatment, it can not only help your son, but it can help so many other child that's impacted by UBA5 today, but also in the future that might not be born yet. And who knows how hundreds and thousands out there that might be undiagnosed as well. And as we develop this gene therapy technology, we're just scaling it out for other rare disease as well, right? So it's a way bigger impact. And so it's a purpose, a goal, however you want to call it, we're going on, even though we have to make a ton of sacrifice. And so that's how we started the Raiden Sons Foundation. That's the basis of it. When we named Raiden, yes, he's like the god of thunder from Mortal Kombat. We never thought he really had to be this fighter. He really has to be a god of thunder to fight for his life, but just fight for the future of all these kids suffering from UBA5 disorder and other rare disease as well around the world.
And Raiden doesn't go it alone when the tournament happens, right? He's got a crew of people that comes and joins him on that fight. And I think, you know, on behalf of at least myself, and I'm sure Tom, we're happy to be part of that crew to be able to at least help provide whatever small amount of extra step along that journey in the netherworld.
Yeah, and it's incredible. It's been like 2.5 years, and just looking back, it's like really from no research at all. Now we're having research at UMass, which is where the primary research is happening for gene therapy, but we have research at St. Jude's as well, Baylor College of Medicine, Oregon Health and Science University. So like there's a lot more interest picking up not only for the research, but all journey as well, and the community coming together.
And a lot of gamers too, like the combat campaign that you did right before, like, you know, I think this is great. The whole gamer culture and everything is something we're hoping to mobilize this year, and it's just great to see people doing this. So
yeah, I have a story to tell about that Mortal Kombat charity stream too. We have time.
Please.
And so we have a fundraising goal in mind in order to develop the gene therapy, right? And we knew we needed to do something different because it's so rare. Unfortunately, like no one cares or people can't relate to it. It is what it is, right? Like, why would I?
But you often say too, I'm sorry to interrupt, but you often say rare, and it's on your website a lot of places too. I see it all the time. Like, rare may not be so rare as you think it is, right? That's what always resonates with me when I read about this UBA5. Again, people may misdiagnose it, right?
Like, rare is not so rare. It's just about educating people. The more people do genetic testing, they might find out that they have this particular UBA5 disease or other rare disease as well. But knowing that fundraising can be tough, you know, people tend to donate to things where they resonate, they understand. There's a lot of branding around, for example, like heart disease, diabetes, and, you know, cancer. Rightfully so, we always need research money for that. But then what about like the rare disease, especially the kids affected by different rare disease, right? What can we do that's different? And so I remember just my wife and I sat there and just thought about it. I was like, well, I don't think I've seen this before. Has anyone done a Mortal Kombat charity tournament? I was like, I don't think so, because the game is like very over the top violent. It's so gory that it's funny. And I remember bringing it up to our
the Red Cross is doing it as a blood drive for Mortal Kombat.
Recently?
Too much? No, I'm just saying, would that be too much?
It's connecting something odd, right? But there is something there, right? At least the passion from the Mortal Kombat fan base is definitely there, and it comes through with the legacy of your family here.
Correct. And I remember presenting it to our board, and they're like, no way, just you can't do it. I'm like, hang on real quick. And like, it totally makes sense. It was, you know, Raiden's name after the Mortal Kombat character. It was also Mortal Kombat 30th anniversary. It was like around October of 2022. And then it's like, it's perfect because it was around Halloween. Worst case is we can be like, hey, it's Halloween, whatever, right? And so we came up with the idea of Combat for Rare with the K, hold a charity stream together, reach out to Mortal Kombat streamers and content creators online, say, hey, we have this cause, would you like to support? And so we did this whole like 2 week long like marathon of charity streams, and people, who played the characters from the mocap, other days, Mortal Kombat 1, 2, and 3 came out to support as well. That's how we got connected to Carrie. Ed was supportive of it. John Tobias did a 1-on-1 drawing for Raiden. So it's awesome. People from the community just came out and were really supportive. And that's how we got started within the gaming community. We did something different that's a bit of unheard of, but it made sense and took the risk.
I think, and I have a similar, journey in my own philanthropy, is that good doesn't extend into certain categories of people. Everybody wants to do good, and I believe that gamers as well want to have that ability to connect the things that they're passionate about with causes that deserve passion, which I think makes this whole partnership with CGC and RSF something that I'm really excited for this year. And we get to be part of that good cause to find that cure, right, Tom?
It's gonna be great. We have so much programming that we have planned around RSF, and again, hoping for people listening, right, to mobilize, online everywhere as well, like getting engaged with some of our YouTubers, influencers out there as well, doing things in advance of the show, during the show. Tommy and I have been talking about, doing marathons at the show. It's going to be really great. And Tommy, I think you're even planning on coming out from Oregon to get some pierogi and come to the show potentially. Right?
I'm definitely coming out just for the I can't even pronounce it.
You can't even say it.
I think, you know what, we're going to have to convince him for the pierogi element of the whole thing. But you know what, Tommy, I know you'd be great at it because your whole family, you're fighters, right? We're fighting together, and I think we're going to go, and I think you're the kind of guy that can take on a showdown, because we have always a little engagement here in our podcast, and I like to call this one Tommy Pham versus the world. Sir, you're going to have a showdown of a series of fighting game characters. You are going to be the person to help us determine who's going to be at the top of this fighting game leaderboard. Here's how this is going to go. I'm going to give you 2 characters to start off with. You, Tommy, are going to choose the character you think would win in a one-on-one matchup. Whoever wins is going to make their way through to the next round. This is going to be King of the Hill style. Whoever is at the top, they get to be the person that we here at CGP are going to determine top of the fighting game leaderboards. Now, we're going to stick inside a category of games here that most of Reddit would classify as traditional fighting games. So this is your 2D flat plane kind of games, not like Super Smash Bros. Or Budokai, but just like the 2D, 3D games that we kind of grew up with in the 90s and 2000s. Tommy, I can tell you got the eye of the tiger, the thrill of the fight, rising up to the challenge of the showdown. You're ready to take this on, sir. Help us figure this out. Who's at the top of the leaderboard?
I'm ready, but I do have some questions. I always ask about the rules.
No,
So,
you're not allowed to ask questions. You're the guest.
Matthew's one-on-one fight, right? Does ring out count?
Ring out does count. So you can take ring out in account of like how you want to determine who it's going to be. Now I know some games have a real decisive ring out kind of situation, but you can put them on whatever home field advantage you want. If you need, I'll give you clarification along the way.
Sounds good.
Just because he's asking that question, I feel like Tommy's very well prepared for this.
He asked the right question to definitely build into it. I get it, man.
You have to say ring out in that tone of voice too. Ring out.
Ring out.
Right.
I always ask a lot of questions. I mean, like, my job used to be working with a lot of IP attorneys, okay? So I work in law. Always ask those questions to be clear.
No, I love it. Hey, the good news is this is a casual game, so in the end, the stakes are having fun, right?
All the following characters are not property of CGC and CGP Enterprises.
I love it.
Nice disclaimer. He even sounds like the guy. All right, here we go. Our first matchup here in Tommy Pham versus the World, our fighting game showdown experience. So in one corner, you've got Terry from Final Fight versus Scorpion from Mortal Kombat.
and maybe to give you some time, so everyone listening, Tommy is actually taking notes and writing things down.
I am. I'm writing
He's
things down, right?
taking this
I
more
have
serious
not
than we
seen
take.
a guest this studious, Tom, as Tommy. This is great.
Corey, this is more pre-work than you and I do for this podcast.
Hi there, Future Corey here again. While I would like to give a shout out to Tommy's studious way of handling this game, we would like to ensure all of our listeners that the prep and work put into CGP is extensive and is in fact thorough. Unlike the work of some other people on this podcast. Tom?
It's Scorpion right away, dude. Like, he can just, like, rip out his mask and show his skull and just blow some fire and torch Terry. Like...
Fair enough. I mean, I could see a world where someone might argue for the martial artistry, but you're right. I think that the just being able to get over here and call it a day. Scorpion's making it through. Get out of here, Terry. Get out of here. All right. So Scorpion's still here. Scorpion now versus Kazuya from Tekken. So another protagonist going head to head. Tekken Mortal Kombat. Is it going to be as easy as just Scorpion blows fire all over him? Or does Kazuya get to take him out here?
I would go with Kazuya taking him out. He has that double gene.
Yeah, man, for real. I mean, that's family legacy right there. It's hard to argue with, right?
Yeah, that's a tough one, but yeah, I'm going with the double gene Kazuya.
Kazuya makes it through. Now, you're in the shade of another game that's really important to me. I remember playing it as a kid. We're going to Marvel vs. Capcom. He's going to take on across the way Wolverine. So now now we're talking healing factor, adamantium claws. Who takes it down?
He's thinking.
I'm thinking that one. Whew.
I didn't make this easy on you, sir.
Oh man.
The note taking has stopped, but he's
I
now
have
he's
stopped.
thinking.
Now I'm just going with gut
The
feeling,
pen is
man.
down.
We're going to heart, baby. This
It's
is
all
heart and
emotion,
soul.
right? That's gonna say it's all. This
I
is
think I would
Rocky
still go
4.
with-
It's kicking in. He's in the training montage in the snow in Oregon.
I still would go with Kazuya. With
Okay.
that double gene.
Wow.
I mean, this might be the one that might be like could go the distance. We'll see. I see some twists and turns in the future here, though. So Kazuya versus Chun-Li. So we're going Street Fighter. We got a lot of kicks going on. Great martial artist. Also one of my favorite 90s fighting game movies of all time, if only for M. Bison's portrayal, which I absolutely adore.
Of course!
Yeah, no way I can see Chun-Li winning. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say this one's easier than the last one, right?
I think so. That's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. That's all right. Okay. So he's still at the top. Across the field now, we're going Morgan from Darkstalkers. So now we're getting a little bit magical here. Of course, also from in Marvel Capcom, makes an appearance.
Nope. I don't think Morgan can win either.
Morgan's out. She's out. Gonzo goes Morgan. Now across the field, Yoshimitsu. Also Tekken veteran, also in my favorite series, the Soul series. Dude can pogo stick on a sword, man. Pogo stick on a sword. I can never block that. Someone who actually knows how to use Yoshimitsu really throws me for a loop.
It's so cheap. Yes.
It's so cheesy, man. It's so cheese. Are we staying King of the Hill? Is he staying through? Or is Yoshimitsu taking him down?
Kazuya is still on top.
Wow, Corey, did you predict this coming in?
I
Have
had
you
an
played
inkling.
Have you played the latest Tekken 8?
I can't say I've had a chance to play it yet.
Play through the story? Yeah.
Not even close. It's like this is like all easy mode for you now after playing through 8.
Yeah, playing through 8 through the story, yeah, like you have new respect, bro.
Oh wow.
All right. Well, let's go through because now we're gonna go back to MK. So MK now he's taken on the person that I think is Ultra Cheese, back from like Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. Noob Saibot throwing that like stun, getting your double uppercut in. Can he get cheesed out on here? Also, you can take that ring out factor if you want.
Ooh, Noob Saibot. That's a challenging one.
It is. Like he's got a little bit more mystical energy. It's down to you, Tommy.
Glad it's not down to me on this one. He's referring to Tommy.
I am gonna go with Noob Saibot on this one. I mean, I feel it's like even, but then Noob is just so cool and something just dark about him, so mystical.
Yeah, I like that pick. He was definitely my when I didn't really want to try hard Mortal Kombat character to pick. And he also just, it was like all the ninjas, but now he's like dark and shadowy. It was definitely interesting to me too. All right, Noob's at the top of the hill now. Noob Saibot versus the man with the music. We're going Guile from Street Fighter. Everything goes with Guile's theme. Is the music enough to get him through?
I like Guile, but no. I'm just thinking about the 90s Guile from that movie that you were just referring to.
Oh my God, yeah, Jean-Claude Van Damme, I get it. Yeah, no, that's some funny. Once you get into the mindset of the old 90s film, and I think about that silly tableau at the end where the actress who plays Chun-Li actually does the leg thing, you can't get out of your head. You can't. You just can't. Okay, so Noob is still there. What about BB Hood? BB Hood, Darkstalkers, Marvel vs. Capcom, another one of those cheesy, like, sends out a bunch of random stuff, hard to block, hard to predict kind of characters. Who's at the top?
I would still go with Noob Saibot.
Noob Saibot, he's still there, but now he's taking on martial law. Right? I was excited for this, and just the thought of those two is really funny to me.
Yeah, just no way. Martial law ain't gonna win.
No. Okay. All right, Tom, I think I got him on this one, though. I think this one's going to be more of a challenge for Noob Saibot. Noob Saibot versus the Juggernaut. We can count it. Marvel versus Capcom. Juggernaut. Do you think that the Cyteract gem from Marvel can hold down Noob Saibot's powers? That's the question. Yeah, I went really deep on comic lore. That's on me.
I knew would still win. He would do some crazy mystical teleport and knock off Juggernaut's, helmet.
Yeah, I feel like that's an easier one, right?
I knock off his helmet.
All right. I thought it had more of a chance, but Tommy, you're the man. Okay, Noob Saibot still there. I really wanted this next matchup to be Juggernaut versus this one, but we'll let Noob stay there.
That'd be.
I was really excited.
Visual.
I was excited for this pairing, but that's okay. Noob Saibot versus Zangief, spinning pile driver.
Yeah, could you see the spinning pile driver on Juggernaut? That's what I was visualizing.
That's what I was visualizing too, but nope, it's Noob's at the top. Oh, he pulled out the Zangief figurine. Oh no!
Tommy just held up an action figure.
Yeah, have Zangief there. No, Zangief can't. There's no way. He might get a few hits in, but that's about it. Even though in the recent Street Fighter, he looks ridiculously buff.
Yeah, he does.
5 and 6.
That was some wild animation for sure. All right, okay. Let's bring it back to Mortal Kombat. Noob versus Sub-Zero. Now we're there. Now we're getting there.
A few minutes later.
Yeah, he's pondering, Corey. I mean,
I know. If I know my lore correctly, I mean,
yeah,
it's Sub-Zero as well, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
It's your choice, though. It's not lore. It's on you, buddy.
They're both Lin Kuei, am I correct?
Yeah. This is hard.
He's taking this more serious than I could ever imagine, Corey.
Why?
This is right for me right now.
He's just, I think he's envisioning everyone on Reddit blowing up after this. Can you believe what he said?
Flame posts everywhere.
Right, just getting rolled.
I'll still go with Noob.
Wow. All right. I honestly did not expect Noob to go this far.
I didn't think that, yeah.
No, good on him. Okay. Ryu's in there.
This is going on like, man. I'm going with Ryu.
Oh, he did it.
Give it your all.
Are you doing that? Are you doing that just to change things up, or you really believe that, Tommy?
No, like I grew up on Raiden and Ryu, and then Ryu, depending on what version of Ryu, right? You could have evil Ryu.
You could, yeah. I'm gonna let you make the choice. You can choose whoever's there.
I will go with Ryu / Evil Ryu.
I like
yeah,
it.
you're,
All
you're
right.
the guest. We'll allow anything.
Very
Evil
true.
Ryu. There you go.
There we go. Evil Ryu's in there. Well, he's
I like
face
this
on
next. I like this next one that you got coming up, Corey. I'm curious about this next one.
This one's interesting because this is also, I think, one of the characters that if you really learn how to play them, you get paid off in dividends. So, Evil Ryu versus Magneto. Marvel Capcom. I mean, you can infinite combo out with Magneto if you know what you're doing.
The silence. The
This is where I'm going to
suspenseful.
add some
We'll go
fun.
with
sound-
Magneto.
This is where
What's that? Wait, what? He's going Magneto. He did it.
Magneto.
Oh man, I like it. We've had a couple changes of the guard here. We
Yeah.
only have 2 left. Only 2 left. 2 left here. Magneto versus Akuma. I know. It's like this is the real, like, when you were young, whenever you beat Akuma, that really felt like the accomplishment, right? That was the bragging rights on the playground.
I'm gonna go with Akuma. I don't know what his move is called, but you know how to push a bunch of like combos together. The
Yeah.
moveset, and it's black up the screen, and it has this like special wording, and it's KO. So I would go out with Akuma on this one.
I think it's the wise choice. I think it is, but I think Akuma might meet his match here, as we have 1 left going to the arena. Akuma versus Raiden.
It's Raiden. You can have Evil Raiden as well. He would just rip Akuma's head off.
It's not even close. It's not even close, because Raiden is there and there. It's not just Raiden. It's the entire group. It's RSF. It's CGC all together taking it down. And that's it. We found the top of the hill. It's Raiden.
Raiden wins. Flawless victory.
And we're happy to be a part of that journey, man. I'll tell you what, Tommy, that was a fantastic list you put together there. That was a real nail biter. But I think we made the right choice. Don't you think, Tom?
Started with a pen and writing things down, and I started going with a gut feeling, and then childhood flashback with Morris Capcom.
Linda's gonna come into your wife's gonna come into your office later and be like, what are all these notes about Akuma and I gotta explain to you this whole thing.
I think the notes paid off because we found ourselves the right top of the mountain, and we're excited to be a small part of that this year at CGC. So, Tommy, can you tell all of our listeners where they can find the foundation, the website, and get to know a little bit more information, not just on, of course, our website, GameCleveland.com, but tell them where they can find more information.
Yeah, you can find more information by going to RaidenScience.org. And then all the information, all the latest events is on the website as well, and more about Raiden's story and what we're doing. Especially with the Raiden Science Foundation, we have a story where like Raiden is our beacon of hope. That's the reason why we started the Raiden Science Foundation, but it doesn't end there. It's like an inspiration for all the other families that's going on this rare disease journey as well. We believe we can help thousands, if not millions, today and in the future. So, yeah, please go on to RaidenScience.org and learn more about story and what we're doing in terms of like events and our research as well.
If you follow them on Instagram, you look up Raiden_journey. I know I've started subscribing since Tommy and I have just started to get to know each other. What, Tommy, a couple months ago? We just started connecting, and Tommy and I are now texting all the time. It's great, and you see Raiden's journey on there as well as like what you shared, Tommy, right? You see a lot of the other families and stories on there too. So again, anything you guys can do to obviously check out their website, and we'll share more information about our campaign, but definitely follow Raiden out too on his journey on Raiden_journey on Instagram.
Yep, definitely. No, thanks. This it's a great time. This was fun, guys. It gave me a little break. I don't know if you know what was happening behind the scenes. Tom, I mentioned this to you. You mentioned that a child was in the process of dying, and unfortunately, he passed away yesterday. Another UBA 5 child. There's not many in the community, so whenever one passed away, it hurts the entire community. It's just heartbreaking to see a parent go through that.
Yeah, and like you shared with me, obviously, number one, so terribly sorry for that loss for that family, and then obviously in the community here. But you shared with me, which really resonated. Again, it's hard to talk about, right, on shows like this, right? That we're trying to keep it upbeat and light, but it's also too, which what I really want to share with everyone, that these things matter, right? In terms of what we're doing and can make an impact. And, a lot of these, UBA5 specifically going misdiagnosed amongst other things, right? There sometimes is the harsh reality of these things have finite timelines, right? So time truly is of the essence, right? So anything we can do here in Cleveland and all across the land, everywhere, is going to be fantastic and hopefully saving lives and then educating others. So it's been awesome having you on, Tommy. It's been really an honor, pleasure, and Corey and I are so just, we were talking before you even came on, we're like, this is just incredible, the journey you've been on.
Yeah, no, thank you guys again. Just by talking about UBA5 or any rare disease, like the entire community is excited because, like, hey, we get to be the voice of the voiceless.
I like the CM Punk reference as well there. That was a nice little touch.
Is that what that was? I'm not a wrestling guy.
You're not a wrestling guy, CM Punk?
Well, The Rock stole my title, so.
It's true. It's true. I feel sweaty and exhausted, like I imagine a video game fighting character might be at the end of that showdown, but I think we had the right winner. Raiden was supposed to win, and it felt right to me. We're all in it together, Tom.
Yeah, I thought, some characters like Scorpion could have gone a little bit deeper in the list there. I was surprised, but, great job, Tommy. Raiden had to win it all.
I think you made a smart pick with Kazuya over Scorpion there. Few other characters I thought might have had a deeper chance, but in the end, I think that the people went the way they were supposed to. And glad to see Raiden at the top. But what do you think, dear listeners? Did you agree with all the choices made there? Would you have preferred some Soul Calibur characters on there? Like I was very tempted to put my main Sofiti on there. I didn't want her to lose because I think she was going to. Tell us in the comments of the posts on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Cleveland Gaming Classic. And don't forget to visit our website. Get tickets today, September 20th through the 22nd. Check us out at GameCleveland.com and come and join us to help support the Raiden Science Foundation this year. And so we want to make sure that we find ways to help not just people suffering, but also help advance medical science overall. I'm very excited for this partnership this year, Tom.
I'm excited as well, as I always am. But I'm also excited that you should also, the listener, you should now listen to Guile's theme song for the next 30 minutes for the rest of your drive home.
You know what? I think I'll find a few places to put it in the podcast here.
If you're continuing listening, your next on your playlist should be Guile's theme song. But for now, I think you should hit save on this file. What do you think, Corey?
Maybe write down the password as well. Thanks, everyone, for listening to the Cleveland Gaming Podcast. My name is Corey.
This is Final Boss Tom.
And we'll catch you on the next one.
CGP.
Cleveland Gaming Podcast.
Powering down.